Hello, I'm your friend CJ Werleman, and this week we reveal how the Zionist army is literally destroying the Zionist state from within. But first, please remember to like and subscribe to our show. Now let's get into it. This is what's left of Gaza today. 90% of everything that once stood is now gone. Homes, schools, hospitals, mosques and markets, all vaporized into dust by Israeli warplanes and artillery during the past 2 years. It will take the Palestinian people a generation or more to recover what they have lost, although they will never recover from losing their parents, grandparents, children, siblings and cousins. 400,000 Palestinians are never coming back. That's the bad news. That's the god-awful reality. But for Israel, the news is even worse because it not only failed to achieve its military goals in Gaza, Lebanon, Iran and Syria, but 2 years of genocide has also brought the country to the brink of collapse, economically, diplomatically, culturally, spiritually and militarily. This cascading Zionist nightmare prompted famed Israeli historian Avi Shlaim to remark that Zionism is in process of destroying itself, saying Israel, like all other dying empires, has become especially violent in its final days. A view shared by all of the world's top geopolitical experts, including Professor John Mearsheimer, who co-authored this book on the Israeli lobby and US foreign policy in 2007. He says, Israel is no longer in a position of power. It's collapsing before our eyes.
What happened? Israel currently seems like it is an effective military player. What would you say to people who said that?
I think it's just dead wrong. And I think it reflects the fact that the Western media's coverage of Israel is so out of touch with reality that people like you can make those kinds of arguments. Let's talk about the three conflicts. The one in Gaza, the conflict with Hezbollah, and the conflict against Iran. Israel has three goals in Gaza. One was to decisively defeat Hamas, two was to get the hostages back, and three, which is unstated, was to ethnically cleanse Gaza. The Israelis are bent on cleansing Gaza and the West Bank. They have not decisively defeated Hamas. They're not going to decisively defeat Hamas. They've not gotten the hostages back, and they have not ethnically cleansed Gaza. Regarding to Hezbollah, they first tried to decapitate Hezbollah. They were successful, but they've been decapitating leaders in the Middle East for years now. It doesn't produce victory. Then when decapitation failed, they went and started killing huge numbers of civilians in southern Beirut and in southern Lebanon. That didn't work. And then they invaded on the ground on roughly October 1st. They went in. And that hasn't worked. They're getting clobbered in southern Lebanon. For anybody who, follows the internet, reports on this carefully, they're getting clobbered.
His perspective echoed by former Israeli President Reuven Rivlin, who says Jews must honestly admit that Israeli society is deeply unwell, deeply sick. A statement of undeniable truth, given Israel is now confronted with a mental health tsunami, with roughly 2 million Israeli citizens requiring psychological help as the country's social fabric rips apart, as global hatred towards Israel escalates, and as addiction and suicide rates spiral upwards vertically. Israel had fooled itself into believing that a society built on occupation, colonization, and apartheid can escape its own demise. Even the Israeli government describes the country's mental health crisis as catastrophic because it is encouraging Israeli citizens with foreign passports to join the hundreds of thousands of others who have chosen to leave the Jewish state forever.
Israel can't survive if it becomes a pariah. So we understand this to be true. So it really rested on this one leg of myths and fairy tales. The other leg, as you elaborated, is Jews moving to Israel. Without Jews moving there, there's no Jewish state. Now we have hundreds of thousands of Jews leaving the state, and more Jews than ever, Israeli Jews, applying for foreign passports than ever before.
Without a constant supply of new Jewish migrants, the Israeli military can't survive or thrive. And without a thriving Israeli military, it's impossible to enforce a military occupation upon Palestine. This new reality is reflected in what has become an unprecedented military recruitment crisis for Israel due to dwindling morale in the army as Israeli soldiers are hunted and arrested around the world for committing war crimes and genocide. These woes compounded by the fact that men and women of military age are fleeing the country to avoid compulsory military service. As ordinary Israeli citizens turn against the military at the same time the military is turning against the government. This nationwide about-face turn is happening because every lie told by the Netanyahu regime about October 7 is being exposed by ongoing Israeli parliament investigations. Most devastating of all are revelations that the Israeli government had advance warning of the attack, but instead of mitigating the threat, Netanyahu ordered soldiers to stand down, so he would have a pretext or just cause to invade, bomb, and commit genocide in Gaza.
אתה במוצב. אצלנו ה7 באוקטובר מתחיל לפני 6:30. אני הייתי לוחם במחלקת מרגמות בגדוד 13, גולני, ובאותו לילה אני, יותם סרור, הסמל שלי תמר בן יהודה, זיכרונו לברכה, שלושתנו עושים לילה לבן. הרשינו לעצמנו בשבתות וחגים במיוחד, לעשות לילה לבן עד לכוננות עם שחר, ואתם יודעים, יש לנו זמן לישון מחלקת מרגמות. עד לכוננות הבאה. אז ב-5:20 בבוקר אנחנו יושבים ליד הקשר כדי לא להעיר מאזין, והסמג"ד שלי, ניר בוינפלק, שגם הוא נפצע קשה, וברוך השם הוא שרד, פתאום עולה בקשר בהודעה מוזרה. כל התחנות, לא יודע למה, לא יודע איך, משהו בסגנון הזה, אין סיור בגדר עד 9 בבוקר.
באיזה שעה זה היה?
אותך בנימין נתניהו, במימון החמאס, בבניית הטרור, ועצימת העיניים האיום הקיומי עלינו, בהפקרת ביטחון המדינה כמדיניות.
October 7th was yet another Israeli manufactured false flag attack among many others, many of which we exposed in a recent episode. But make no mistake, this is a devastating blow to Israel's long-term viability, given it means the world's Jewish population now understands that the Jewish state chose against minimizing Jewish casualties to manufacture global Jewish consent for genocide in Gaza. These headlines speak to a growing revulsion among American and European Jews towards Israel, as do the words of a Jewish man in Berlin last week.
Murderers! Genocidal murderers! Again! And again! And again! You're an embarrassment to humanity! You are not even human! I'm not afraid of you anymore! I'm going to overpower you! You are a genocidal maniac! You're military monsters! You have blood on your hands! You have these people's blood! And you have Palestinian blood! Don't hurt me! Don't hurt me!
Former Israeli generals blame the Zionist regime for a loss of international trust and respect, saying Netanyahu promised a complete victory over Hamas, but he and his government have led us only to defeat, end quote. The recriminations have only just begun as Israeli commanders are ousted and stripped of their ranks for failing to defeat Hamas, as the suicide rate among the rank and file climbs to record levels, while others are left to grapple with genocide guilt and trauma.
אני אדם שלא חי. רגע, רוצה לשאול שאלה, אני גם הלום קרב מחרבות ברזל, גולני. אתה יודע מה זה להרים גופות של חברים שלך שלפני רגע ישבת איתם, אכלת איתם מנקים, ישנת איתם ועשית איתם טירונות ורגע אחרי מתפוצצים לך מול העיניים? אני באתי 23 חברים. לפני 3 ימים התאבד לנו חייל. אני לפני כמה חודשים זרקתי לעצמי 3 גרם פנטניל לווריד כי לא יכלתי לסבול יותר. לא יכלתי לראות, אני לא יכול. אני רואה גופות מול העיניים, עכשיו שאני יושב פה בלילה, אני רואה גופות כמו שאני רואה אותך עכשיו. אני רואה את חברים שלי מתפוצצים לי מול העיניים, זיהו את חברים שלי רק על את השיניים שלהם זיהו. אני שהגעתי לפסיכיאטר, חצי שעה של אבחון, דחף לי 15 כדורים פסיכיאטריים, שהולכים להרדים סוס. טפלו בי! למה אני אמור לצעוק את זה? למה אני אמור לסבול את כל זה? למה אני אמור לנסות להתאבד כל יום? אני נלחמתי למען המדינה המחורבנת הזאת! טפלו בי, טפלו בנו! חיל עכשיו יוצא מעזה!
Out of sheer desperation, the Israeli government recently reversed a decades-long law by removing exemption for ultra-Orthodox Jews serving in the military, meaning they, like all Israeli Jews, must now serve in the IDF for a minimum of 2 to 3 years. They are being forced to fight and commit genocide in violation of their religious beliefs for the simple reason Israel is running out of manpower. It's important to note that whereas ultra-Orthodox Jewish protesters were initially scorned by mainstream Israeli society, today they enjoy nationwide support.
Tens of thousands of ultra-Orthodox Israelis have come out here to the streets of Jerusalem to protest against efforts to enlist them into the Israeli military. This is a debate that has been roiling Israeli society for decades, really, but it kicked into higher gear over a year ago when the Israeli Supreme Court ruled that exemption of ultra-Orthodox Israelis to the military draft here, which is mandatory for all Jewish Israelis 18 years of age and older.
If you're looking for just one major sign that proves or at least suggests the state of Israel is now living out its final days, then look no further than this. The formation of a literal dad's army, comprising men aged 50 years or older. The IDF has managed to recruit around 3,000 elderly soldiers during the past year, as it openly admits to failing to meet recruitment targets. This is reminiscent of how Nazi Germany fell in April 1945, when in the final desperate days of the Battle of Berlin, boys as young as 12 and men as old as 70 were forced into Hitler's last-ditch militia called the Volkssturm, in which poorly armed and poorly trained conscripts were dragged out of their homes to halt the advance of Soviet and Allied forces in what would become a final act of futility.
Berliner Volkssturm, die den festen und unerschütterlichen Willen haben, niemals vor den Feinden zu streichen, die Flagge zu streichen und feige zu kapitulieren.
Nazi Germany fell just 8 weeks later. The faces of these men, who were pulled from their homes to defend a collapsing regime, stand as symbols of a nation dragged into ruin by its leaders. As the saying goes, history doesn't repeat, but it certainly rhymes. And it's certainly rhyming in Israel, where the state of the Zionist army has fallen so far in such a short time that Israeli soldiers routinely upload videos on social media showing members of their respective units fighting each other like snakes in a metaphorical basket. These fights are born in anger directed at their military and political leadership. And it's anger that defines Israel today. Israelis are angry that a promised victory hasn't been forthcoming. They are angered by a collapsed economy, a broken society, and the isolation that comes from being the most hated country on this planet. This anger manifests itself into even more vengeful and violent rhetoric, the kind we saw last week when the deputy mayor of Beersheba slammed the Israeli military for not killing 100,000 to 150,000 Palestinians every single day.
זה אומר שמי שזורק אבן, שמי שמנסה לחדור פלילית, צריך לקבל כדור בראש. אין שום דרך אחרת. זה הדרך היחידה כדי להגן על הכוחות שלנו. זה אומר שאם עכשיו קרה 7/10, חס וחלילה, אחרי שקרה הדבר הזה, היה לנו הזדמנות פז למחוק את הסיפור הזה שנקרא עזה. היינו צריכים להיכנס כל יום להרוג להם 100,000, 150,000.
His words speak to Avi Shlaim's warning, when he said Israel, like all declining empires, become especially violent in their final days. Israel is indeed dying before our very eyes. But alas, that doesn't mean it will sliver off and die quietly in the night. It will die swinging for the metaphorical branches. It will continue to bomb Gaza, Syria, Lebanon, and Iran. It will continue cleansing the Palestinian territories, all of which will be supported via a multi-front, multi-billion-dollar social media campaign to win back diplomatic and financial support from Western countries. This global propaganda campaign is supported by a global effort to silence Israel's critics, including us. Remembering that Israel successfully pressured YouTube into demonetizing our channel 8 weeks ago, which means our survival is solely dependent on those who generously support our team via membership on Patreon. Therefore, we kindly ask that you please join them in supporting our effort to expose and confront injustices in the Muslim world by becoming a member at patreon.com/CJWerleman. We can't produce, sustain, and grow this show without your help, and we offer exclusive benefits and content to those who do. But for now, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, and stay blessed.